stay inside. There just might be a lion, a tiger, or grizzly roaming in your neighborhood.
Can you believe that? It's been a terrifying 24 hours for the residents of Zanesville, Ohio. They found out firsthand what deregulation is all about.
These are some of the animals killed overnight in what can only be described as an open season slaughter of wild and dangerous animals.
Here's the story. The animals were owned by Terry Thompson. Thompson kept them on his 73-acre farm despite his criminal record in history of animal neglect. Authorities believe that Thompson freed the animals from their cages and then killed himself. Schools were closed and residents told to stay indoors as police searched. And scores of animals described as mature and aggressive, they were forced to be killed, and forced to kill nearly 50 of them, including 18 rare Bengal tigers, 17 lions, 6 black bears, 3 mountain lions, 2 grizzly bears, 2 wolves, and 1 baboon. 6 animals have been captured, and at this hour, all animals have been accounted for, including a diseased monkey that was thought to be on the loose. So how did a guy with a criminal record get to keep an entire zoo in his backyard? Because the law permits it. Simple as that. Ohio doesn't regulate private ownership of exotic animals. The state's last governor, Democrat Ted Strickland, wanted to change that. In January, he signed an emergency executive order that banned the keeping of exotic animals. When John Kasich took office, he was asked if he would extend the executive order. Here's what he said.
Look at it. I mean, it sounds reasonable, but let me just take a look at it. I would be inclined to say we should continue it.
Take a look at it. Well, Kasich ended up letting the order expire. Today, he was answering for that decision.
Governor, there's a lot of people blaming your administration this morning for this situation over in Zanesville. They're saying that would have been avoided if you hadn't allowed the exotic animal ban to expire. How do you respond to that, and where do you stand on exotic animal rules in the state?
Well, first of all, the people in charge in our administration said they didn't have the authority, nor did they have the infrastructure to even carry out something that was put in the last days of the last administration. And as a result of that, they started working on, a working group to get that done.
I think a good attorney would probably look into that to verify what the governor is saying. Joining me now is MSNBC contributor and Washington correspondent for The Nation magazine, who's following this story, John Nichols. John, great to have you with us. Why did Kasich allow this order to expire? And speak to that last answer he just gave to that reporter.
Well, it's a bogus answer, Ed. And here's the problem. This governor had an order from the previous governor that would have shut down this particular farm, this particular exotic animal situation, by about May 1 of 2011. It was all structural. It was all planned. Didn't make for an immediate removal. So it didn't create some sort of crisis situation where Ohio Department of Natural Resources folks would have had to rush in. They had time. They could have implemented an order and taken folks out. Instead, Governor Kasich decided not to trust the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to be able to implement this thing. It fits with what Republican governors across this country have been doing. They don't like these Department of Natural Resources operations because these are the folks who often implement environmental rules, who put regulations on business, and so there's a tendency to not go along with the DNRs in the states. And I think that's exactly what Governor Kasich did. Unfortunately, it created a carnival situation, horrible mess. But the reality is that again and again and again, these Republican governors refuse to or avoid implementation of smart regulations because they think it will be some kind of burden on business, or they just think it won't be popular with their campaign contributors.
Everyone from the Humane Society to Ted Nugent is pouncing on the governor from Ohio, John Kasich.
Yes.
How does this impact him politically, if at all?
I think it has an impact. John Kasich looked pretty uncomfortable today when he was taking those questions. And as the day has evolved, remember, the whole state of Ohio has looked at this issue around the clock. It's been an intense very passionate moment for Ohio. And here they see their governor being casual about it, still taking no responsibility, refusing to step up. And I think they have to juxtapose it with the Issue 2 debate. Here is a governor who somehow found all these extraordinary powers to go after public employees, to cut their wages, cut their benefits, to crack down on their unions. But he says he doesn't have the authority to protect people from wild animals.
Yeah. Jack Hanna says that he's going to work with the governor to get some kind of legislation done. So do you think that will happen?
No, I'm sure it will happen. Look, I've covered Governor Kasich for years. I was a newspaper editor in Ohio for a long time, back when he was a congressman. He's a pretty smart politician. At the end of the day, he knows he's going to have to clean this up. But I do think that, Ed, we should focus in on the reality that across this country, every day, there are these Republican governors, including Kasich, who don't take regulation seriously.
Sure.
They don't see why we have regulations. And this is going to be highlighted here. Even if the governor cleans up this one, there's an awfully lot of other regulations that should be looked at as well.
Well, in that last soundbite that we played of Kasich, he infers that the past governor wasn't on solid legal ground to continue with that executive order. It's something that should be looked into. I'm sure that the state legislature will follow up on it. A very harrowing situation there in Ohio today. Thanks, John. John Nichols of The Nation magazine with us. Just another reminder, beginning on Monday, the Ed Show will start at a new time, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. We'll get to work 2 hours earlier. I hope you join us at 8 o'clock here for the Ed Show starting on Monday. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann gets cozy with Wayne Newton after the Republican debate last night. Daily Show co-creator Liz Winstead will weigh in and talk about her own encounter with Mr. Las Vegas next.